First and foremost, I am actually making an effort to put out some good YouTube content. Please subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't already. So, Tales from the Old School, number 1. I'm going to talk about my Set versus M2K at EVO 2007. Arguably one of the biggest upsets that no one ever talks about in Melee history. I have almost never heard anyone mention it aside from myself. Hopefully after this video, more people will know about it. Let's set the stage here. So, is the music too loud? I feel like the music's too loud.
A few moments later.
So let's set the stage here. Summer of 2007, okay? M2K is easily the #1 player in the world at the time. He had just come off a win at Pound 2, as well as FC Diamond, which I believe were the two most recent majors leading up to EVO 2007. I actually had no intention of going to EVO 2007 at all. So the story about this is I had just started college. It was literally my first semester of college. I had just moved into my dorm and shit. Classes hadn't started yet. It was like a week before EVO 2007. And EVO 2007 was actually EVO World. There were a bunch of like regional qualifiers leading up to EVO, EVO East, EVO South, EVO West, etc. I didn't go to any of those. And I was just starting college, so I had no intention of going to EVO. But Chudak calls me while I'm at school. I'm like, yo, what's up, Chew? He's like, dude, you got to come to EVO World. And I'm like, isn't that in Vegas, like, next week? I'm going to school in Virginia, so I'm nowhere near Vegas. I'm like, isn't that, like, next week in Vegas? He's like, yeah, dude, this is going to be a free-ass tournament. You're going to be able to make money. Like, everyone in top 8 gets paid, and no one that good is going. And I'm like, oh, really? Interesting. Well, I don't think I can afford it. I'm a broke-ass 17. I was still 17 at the time. I was like, I don't think I can afford that shit. But Chu talked me into it. And so I actually called my brothers, both my brothers, and borrowed like a couple $100 from each of them and bought a last-minute plane ticket to EVO World 2007. It was one of the more reckless things I've done as far as traveling for Smash ever, probably. But I did it. I was like, screw it. Chu's got me convinced that I'm going to go there. I'm going to make money. It's a free tournament. Why not? I'm probably going to profit at least, right? Despite it being my first week of college and everything, I made it happen. I actually made it to Vegas for EVO 2007. So, as far as the tourney itself, you guys probably know the big storylines from the tourney are Mango's breakout event, #1, and Ken's last hurrah, basically, #2. So Ken won the event. Another thing about that tourney is that the two sides of the bracket were really, really uneven. I guess they didn't seed it very well. I mean, I guess the organizers of the tournament probably didn't know Smash skill levels very well. And so they didn't seed it very well. My half of the bracket was so much harder than the other half. I remember that specifically. But I was going to play M2K relatively early, like 3-4 rounds into the event. And all of a sudden, before I play M2K, he loses to Mango. Excellent timing on the music there, by the way. M2K loses to Mango. And I'm like, holy shit. That's a famous set everyone knows about. That was literally Mango's first big win. Best of 1 on Dreamland. M2K random to Dreamland because it was all random back then. That didn't even get the stage strike. They go Dreamland, Mango's Puff, 2 stocks M2K in one of the craziest upsets ever, especially to that point in Melee history. And in my head, my response to that is, hell yes, dude. Instead of fighting the literal best player in the world, I get to fight Mango, who at the time is like this 15-year-old kid. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? He's a random puff from Cali. How the hell did he just beat M2K? But I got this, dude. Hell yes. I get a freebie. Mango ends up 2-0ing me. I went Fox game 1. I think he like 2-stocked me, and I was like, let's try the Marth. And then he rested me out of shield like 8 times in a 4-stock match somehow. It was really bad. It was just not good. Mango kind of fucked me up. And I was like, shit. I just borrowed hundreds of dollars from my brothers to even come to this event, and now I might not even make top 8. I was literally terrified that I was just not going to be able to pay my brothers back. Couple more rounds in losers, and then I look at the bracket. I'm one spot away from top 8 losers side, and the person standing in my way, who else could it be but fucking Mewtwo King, who had just also lost to Mango in winners in the best of 1. At this point of the tourney, it was all best of 3. That's why I had 2 matches against Mango. It was best of 3 after a certain like round of the event. And so I had one best of 3 set against the best player in the world to make top 8 and not lose hundreds of dollars that I had borrowed from my brothers. It wasn't even my money to lose. I feel like pressure has never affected me as well as it did during that set. I literally felt like I had no choice but to beat M2K. And to give a little bit of further backstory, M2K had already become ridiculous versus Spaceys as Marth. It already seemed pretty insurmountable. And so I thought back to a couple months earlier. I had played M2K at pound 2. And I went Sheik in that set. Look at me shouting out my brother with the color and the tag. What a great guy I was. I win this match against M2K. He ended up winning the set, but it was a respectable set. And even though I hadn't been practicing Sheik much, Sheik was actually my original main. So I started maining Fox in like 03. Maybe even late 02, but for the first like year of the game's release, I was pure Sheik. I was a big Ocarina of Time fan. Before the game even came out, I was like, oh, I'm definitely maining Sheik as soon as she was announced. And I did do that for about a year and eventually got stagnant. Decided to switch to, oh my god, that was an insane edgeguard. What the hell? 2007, by the way. I decided to switch to Fox. I still occasionally played Sheik, but rarely in tournament until I needed to bust out Sheik against M2K. So again, I had this set against M2K at pound 2. And I took this game. I ended up losing the set. But I figured M2K is already ridiculous versus Spaceys. I think the play, instead of going Fox, is to go Sheik against his Marth instead. And I feel like I recall double blinding even being like, yo, let's double blind, because I knew I was going to go Sheik. I didn't want him to like counterpick with Fox or something. But I ended up deciding to go Sheik. M2K was like depressed all day. After losing to Mango, he was just in like a terrible mood, understandably. I mean, it was best of 1. The fact that it was best of 1 was kind of bullshit. In retrospect, most likely M2K probably would have won a best of 3 against Mango. Obviously, we'll never know that now. I had done decent in this set at pound 2 against him. There's no footage of the set at EVO, by the way, which is why we're watching this. I had done pretty decent as Sheik before. And I was like, you know what? Wow, messed up that up B. Let's go with Sheik. We random to Yoshi's. And again, in my head, all I'm thinking is I can't lose this set. I don't care if it's the best player in the world. I'm literally going to go down hundreds of dollars that I borrowed. Not even my own money that I borrowed from my brothers. I have to win this set. Game 1, I fuck around and 2-stock him. Oh, shit. I was like, okay. But in my head, I wasn't even excited. I was like, this is still the best player in the world. I still need to beat this dude. And it's only 1 game. M2K probably kind of giving up hope and shit. Decides to go back to Yoshi's. And this was like a side setup. There were like maybe like 3 or 4 people watching, dude. This is literally one of the greatest unspoken upsets in Melee history. No recording, no footage whatsoever. 3 or 4 people watching. And I take game 2 2-0 over M2K with my secondary Sheik. Actually insane. And again, this set is like almost never brought up. People don't really discuss it. I feel like I definitely got the assist from Mango, like, you know, making M2K sad earlier in the day. If this set had been in winners, I don't know if I end up winning that set, honestly. But again, I felt like I literally had to win. I felt like I had no fucking choice but to beat M2K there. And because loser got nothing. 9th place did not get paid at all. And that was the match to get into top 8. So yeah, I did it. Ended up beating M2K 2-0 with Sheik. Made it into top 8. And was able to pay my brothers back with the winnings. Which is the moral of the story. Is thank God I didn't have to owe my brothers money. And I really made sure that happened. And yeah, again, this was M2K who had just come off. Look at this 2-stock. This again is not the EVO set, it's a pound 2 set. But yeah, M2K had just come off winning pound 2, just come off winning FC Diamond. This was a crazy upset. Not as crazy as Mango, because Mango was not an established player at that point. But it was still one of the nuttier upsets in Melee, especially because I used a secondary. I played Chu in top 8. Chu ended up beating me barely game 3. But again, the fact that I had made it into the money meant that I didn't, owe my brothers a shitload of money. So I was thrilled about that at the time. Just that I didn't have to pay my brothers back, or didn't have to, owe my brothers money for the future. Oh yeah, so this was the precursor, M2K winning Melee FC Diamond that year. That was like a month before, and then this was EVO, where M2K got 9th, obviously. I got 7th. Looking back, I do think I would have done better if I had been on the other half of the bracket, like where Eddie was. Because Eddie was not like that top level of a player at this point, but he got a really good bracket. I don't think I came out net positive. I basically broke even, if I remember correctly. But yeah. And then, so another fun fact about this is when I messaged M2K today to ask if I could, do this content for YouTube and stuff, he was like, yeah, but please mention that I won Super Champ Combo the next month. So, okay. All right, M2K. M2K then won Super Champ Combo, another major, the following month. So he redeemed himself. M2K was clearly the top, the number 1 player in 2007 overall. But I'll forever have this win over number 1 with my secondary. And a lot of people assume that my best win, or if people ask like, yo, what's your best win, Chillin'? They usually assume it's me beating Ken in 2004. And that's up there, Ken's first loss ever. But beating M2K with my secondary 2-0 for a spot in EVO top 8 when he was the number 1 player in the world, that might be it, dude. That might actually be number 1 as far as my best tournament wins. And again, it's one that never really gets discussed, never really gets talked about. So I wanted to make this video and let you guys know what's up. Don't sleep on the Sheik.